Josh now has a pretty good lead on Saquon for MVP, followed by Lamar, Goff, and Mahomes is way far back there now. Did Josh lock up the MVP last night?
Not to me. And if he did, then it is just a quarterback-only award. And listen, everybody knows that I'm a Bills guy.
Yeah.
Everybody, like we all have our.
Also an Eagles guy.
I know.
So
well, listen, I thought about that. We all have we all kind of have a triumvirate of teams. I wrote this down because I thought I might say it. Bruce got the Packers, the Ravens, and the Jets.
The Eagles.
No, the Jets. The Wilds has the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Niners. Yeah. Greg has the Lions, the Texans, and the Vikings, and I have the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Eagles. It all seems to feel
the Bears and the Cowboys.
Well, the Bears.
I would say
including
Chiefs, Bears,
Cowboys. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna. No, I mean they're just my teams. But if you don't want to take my word for it, I mean Buffalo Bills social media today put something out that really verified me as the Bills guy. Can we play it, Dust, please?
Big time.
Please.
The New York Jets, their roster on paper is nasty.
The entire media was so sick of me being the only person right about them the last 4 years. They've now gone in the other direction, and now they're too far down on the Bills. So there it is. There's the AFC East. Yeah, I mean,
from Bill?
That's from at Buffalo Bills. So
Really?
listen, that's their version of suing for peace. I'll send an emissary to discuss. So it does pain me to say it, but right now Saquon's the league MVP. And it's the reason I'm arguing that is Josh has been phenomenal. And yes, everyone understands you take Josh Allen off the Bills, they're terrible. But that's the case with every awesome quarterback every year. If you replace that guy with Mitch Trubisky, the team falls apart. It's never going to, the value part of MVP is never going to work for anyone other than a quarterback. I get it. But Josh statistically is just having a nice year. And Saquon statistically is on pace to have one of the 2 or 3 greatest running back seasons
He's still
ever.
on pace to
break the Dickerson's record and on pace to come just shy of the all-time yardage record in the season. And the touchdowns, I put a little asterisk on because Jalen vultures them all in the tush push. And so I think the Bills have been awesome. I think Josh has been awesome. To me, the MVP has been Saquon.
I'm with Nick in that there's no way he locked it up. We got 5 games left. And you see not just the odds, but the 5 games ago, Lamar was a lock.
Yeah.
Wasn't Saquon favorite going into yesterday?
No.
I thought he was he wasn't.
He's never been number 1.
He was number 1 on my ballot, but a lot of people also had
that
him.
didn't
you
move
still
the
got
line as
number
much as we thought it had for his ballot.
So there's still too much football left to be. Now they do have a light schedule. They got Detroit is the only really good team. They got the Rams too, I think. Yeah. But that could help.
They
him
go Rams,
Detroit,
well. Patriots, Jets, Patriots for the Bills.
So they got some easy games. Yeah. But, and I will say this, because I said it last week, I had Saquon number 1. I do think Josh is number 1 right now. Wow. I got Josh 1, Saquon 2. We'll do Bruce ballot at some point later this week. And I say it because of this. You're right, Nick, that his numbers are not eye-popping. And if he were to, let's say it ended now and he won it, years from now, people would look at it and say, wow, his numbers weren't that spectacular. They weren't close to the best quarterback numbers in the league. But when you watch their games, that's where it's like, this dude's the MVP. Yes. He is the guy. So I feel like he should be ahead of Saquon right now, but it is definitely not over.
Yeah, I have Josh Allen as the front runner right now. He definitely hasn't locked it up. I'm with you guys in lockstep there. If Saquon breaks the record and all that, and they end up being a 1 or a 2 seed, then I think this is Saquon. There's no way you can not. If it's not a quarterback award,
it's just going to feel like it'll then be used against running backs in the future. Well, if Saquon breaks the record and they're the 1 or the 2 seed and they don't get it, then 3 years from now, when running backs have an awesome year, you know what people will be like, well, Saquon, Saquon couldn't win it, how can he win it?
Yeah, for sure. But for me, to your point, and I think you're spot on, when you watch the Buffalo Bills play and you see Josh Allen, he is the only player, in my opinion, right, that gives you this Mahomes-ian vibe.
I'm going to have one other guy.
Mahomes. He can legitimately just win a game. Like, and you, to your point of being a superhero and superhuman, like that's Josh Allen. And he's not doing it in a sense of how he's done it in the past. Right. Like, he's not reckless. He's not careless with the football any longer. Like, it's subtle, but he's there. And he's the one player in the National Football League right now that I feel like going into every game, he's a threat. He's the number one threat, even over your guy Mahomes right now, the way he's playing.
On the other side, 49ers, not good. Lost CMC, lost the game, maybe lost their Super Bowl window. Greg, you were early on this. Who are you giving the lion's share of the blame for this season?
So I don't. Injuries, man. Like, I can't give the lion's share of the blame to any specific player, or I'm not going to even say a side of the ball. If I were to go with a side of the ball, I would say their defense has let them down more than their offense. But injuries clearly has plagued this team. I don't think that they were going to be as good as everyone else thought they would be, even without the injuries. But with the amount of injuries that they've had, with the significance of the player that has been injured, it's just been too much to overcome. When you ask a coach like Kyle Shanahan to scheme up plays, and I know how you feel about this, like, you got to be able to overcome these things. But every team goes into a season understanding there's going to be adversity. Every team goes into a season understanding that. No one goes into a season thinking
our three best offensive players are in the
every prominent player that we have is going to eventually be down. We're going to be without them, and for significant amounts of time. Like, that's what the 49ers have had to deal with this season. Yes, I've been right on this, but it's not something that I'm gloating about, because you don't want guys to get hurt. But seeing CMC go down last night is just unfortunate. It's just a tale of their season.
You're sort of our cap guru on the show. Is any part of this, because obviously injuries is a fair answer, roster construction where you have a handful of superstars, well, if they get hurt, all of a sudden there's a larger drop-off, which makes you susceptible to
roster construction related to the age of the guys. Trent Williams, one of the oldest tackles in the league. George Kittle's one of the oldest tight ends in the league. Now, he hasn't dealt with as many injuries, but he doesn't appear to me to be quite as productive on a play-to-play basis. Christian McCaffrey, a ton of wear and tear for the position and the age, and he's already been an injury risk. And defensively, it's just been devastated by injury. Like, they had started in the Super Bowl when Dre Greenlaw's Achilles popped, and it never let up. So my answer quickly, Brew, is I think it's the injuries combined with the quarterback coming back down to earth, and you need a superhero at quarterback to be able to sustain or overcome what they've dealt with.
I agree with that.
And they don't have that.
Yeah.
And so, like, we can argue more about Brock Purdy later in the show, but they don't have that. And so they're DOA. Like, I'm not putting it on Kyle. We can argue about Kyle another time. But when you have this many injuries during the year, the only way to sustain it is have a superhero at quarterback, or one side of the ball be untouched by injuries and
be dominant.
Right, and be dominant. They've got neither.
I agree with both of you. And as much as I like Purdy, I agree on that. Like, I mean, I think that tier one is Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, and Allen. Though, and even Burrow can't do it in Cincinnati without a defense. The other tier two guys, which I put Purdy in, they need a lot of help. We see Matthew Stafford, as much as people like him, he hasn't been the same when his guys have been hurt. So injuries, of course, particularly defense. They went from the third scoring defense in the league last year to 25th. So the defense has been terrible. I'm going to throw something else in that I thought was a possibility. I give you credit for calling it in the preseason. They're not making the playoffs. I thought this was a possibility with the injuries, but I didn't call it. The emotional letdown of being close for 6 straight years, essentially. 5 of 6 years, they've been right there. Twice got to the Super Bowl. And when you go that many times, you got to knock through the door at least once. Or I think the emotional letdown for them, because let's face it, we see it in the NBA. The regular season, if you go into this season and you're the Niners, it's like, man, let's get through this regular season and we got to get it done in the playoffs. That's all that matters. And that can break a team psychologically. So I think that's a factor, too.
Super Bowl hangover. Oh. A little Kyle Shanahan. I mean, a little bit. A little bit. A little bit.
Some Kyle.
A little bit.
I just need you to name 5 coaches better.
No, I don't.
That's all. That's all. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.